This video is pretty awkwardly placed because I'm ranking the top 10 teams that I use in the Play Now series up to this point, and I'm pretty sure I've actually done a video for about 11 or 12 teams. I think the Chicago Bulls made 12, but with the way school worked out and Thanksgiving break, this is just kind of when I got around to it, so hey, at least I'm doing it, right? So this video is going to be used to rank the first 10 teams that I use in the Play Now online series, and when I do this again when I'm on my 20th team, then I'll get to teams like the 95 Magic and the Bulls, and that's when I'll get to them. They're not going to be included in this one. And just a note before I get started, this is going to be a countdown, so I'm going to be counting down from the teams that I like the least all the way to the ones that I like the most. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So at number 10, if you've been watching this Play Now online series, you already knew it was going to be the 1990s Pistons, and I don't even like talking about this squad because they were so aggravating to use. It's not even that this is the only team I've actually lost with in this series so far, but it's just that I could not play my style of basketball with them. One thing, as I mentioned in that episode, that really holds them back is that the 90s Pistons are a team that, with the way the game is made, I don't think you'll ever be able to actually replicate them in the game because they would really need their own set of rules. In real life, they would throwing people around and pushing people out of mid-air, and you know, if you could do that in 2K, if I could take Dennis Rodman and start throwing people around, and with Isaiah Thomas, instead of just calling plays, you could like plot out attacks on certain players like he used to do, then I think it would be amazing. And could you imagine that? Just Isaiah Thomas having his own little special playbook, so when you hit left on the D-pad or whichever button you use right there, and just comes up and choose what player you want the team to attack, just, you know, make it true to form, because according to teammates and people who played against him in real life, he was the guy who was orchestrating all that back then, so I think that would be amazing in 2K. But on a serious note, I did really like playing with Isaiah Thomas, and he's got handles for days, but with the style of basketball I like to play, I just don't need the two best players on the team to be really short, because that's already a disadvantage in 2K. So next on the list, I've got the 77 Sixers, and the reason they became 9th, and that might surprise some of you because I know a lot of you watched that episode and it seemed like I was enjoying myself, but they came 9th because I was realistic and I was like, look, in that episode I played the 1990 the 2000 Raptors, and that's the only time I've ever actually used that team. And while they were fun to use, I feel like I was able to get away with a lot more because I'm playing against the Raptors who really only have T-Mac and Vince Carter as threats. And yeah, you know, you can do a lot with them. As you see, the guy was dunking all over me all episode, but when you only have to worry about two people scoring, it allows you to kind of explore a little bit in the offense, and it allows you to do things like shoot 30 or 20% with Julius Erving like I did there. So say I was playing the Showtime Lakers with Magic and Kareem, I don't think there's a way I would actually win that game. And I've gone on to play more with Julius Erving because I played with the all-time Sixers, and I'm recording those videos right now, and the thing I found is that Julius Erving, his release is really nice, but in general he's really hard to shoot threes with, and that hurts the spacing on the floor. He can hit a mid-range shot, but I don't know, I think maybe I've just kind of gotten spoiled by this era, because this era of players, everybody can hit a three. Anybody you pass the ball to, they can shoot a three, and when you pass to Julius Erving and you realize, wait, I have to do a little bit more work with this guy, it can be kind of difficult. That being said, they had a solid overall team, and I don't dislike them like I dislike the Pistons. They just rank back here because I feel like I wouldn't be able to win that many games with this team. So I'm only on the 8th team, and I feel like the 8th spot is not reflective of what I really thought about the 71 Bucks. It's just that the 7 teams that place in front of them, they were all really good, and I really love playing with them. So I love playing with the 71 Bucks too. I just like the 7 squads a bit more. So the reason I like the 71 Bucks so much is because they really surprised me, and they're one of those teams that I get the feeling nobody uses in 2K because they're so old that people just write them off. They're like, nah, there's no way those guys could be good, and they don't recognize anybody except for Oscar Robertson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and maybe Bob Dandridge. But if you actually go into this team with a strategy that you're going to use Oscar Robertson's height and you're going to use him with a lot of action with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you could get some wins with this squad, and you can sneak up on people because they just won't be expecting it. The one thing I really loved is that this guy was using the Knicks, so he had Jeremy Lin at point guard, and little did he know that not switching Jeremy Lin off of Oscar Robertson, who's a good 6 what, he's 6 foot something, he's taller than Jeremy Lin, that was huge trouble because I was able to get him in the paint the entire game, and there was nothing he could do about it. And for Kareem, I think that was my first time ever actually using Kareem in a 2K game. I played against him a lot, but I don't think I've ever actually controlled him, and I found out really quick that the guy is just a bully. He's amazing on defense, and if the opponent makes a mistake of letting the opposing center get under the basket with Kareem, he just rises up and slams it. So I love playing with that squad, and they got some shooters on there. I didn't even get to use Bob Dandridge that much because I was dominating so much with Kareem and Oscar, so there's still some more for me to explore there, and I haven't actually used this team since that video, so I think I'm going gonna do that again pretty soon. For the 7th spot, I had some debate here, but I had to give it to the 71 Lakers, and there was one deciding factor. So they were a great team. I love playing with Jerry West because he's deceptive. His size is really deceptive, and I don't think anybody really knows how dominant he is in this game. And then of course you got Gail Goodrich, and then you got Will Chamberlain. But the reason they get my 7th spot over the team that's gonna get the 6 is because there was one moment in this game where the coach subbed all of my stars out, and that almost caused me to lose that game. If you remember that episode, that came down to the wire, and I was getting heated in that game because I think I had built like an 8 or 10 point lead, and I lost it all in about a minute or two with the stars on the bench. So to this day, my biggest takeaway with that team was just make sure there's always at least one star on the floor, because you could lose a game real quick without them. My number 6 spot goes to the 64 Celtics, and this was actually the first team I used in this series. Although I enjoyed the game I played with them, I really felt like I won that game off of raw talent and the fact that the guy I was playing did not know how to use a 96 Bulls, because the biggest problem I found with them is that their playbook is terrible. From what I remember, every time I ran a play, it was literally the same exact thing happening on one side of the court or the other, and there was no variety to it. Same thing happened all the time, which made it really predictable. So at a certain point, I was just running pick and rolls trying to get what I could, and I got saved because the guy wasn't really playing great defense. And then I had Heinsohn coming off the bench, and he was hitting a couple 3-pointers because, I don't know, maybe he just didn't know who Heinsohn was, but he was a big man and he was assuming he couldn't shoot, so that helped a little bit. But I'm a guy, when I grab teams that I've never used before, I definitely like there to be an adequate playbook there, because that's how you create movement and people are running off screens. That's just how you can find out how this team really flows. And when you reduce that to just iso ball and pick and rolls, it can be difficult, but I will say that team makes up for it with defense, so it wasn't that bad, but I would definitely have to have a few more goals with them. At my number 5 spot, I'm going 71 Knicks, and I really love this team. To me, for the historic squads, in terms of them not having all of their players, because we know sometimes it's generated players coming off of the bench, I would say that the 71 Knicks had the most complete team. For a historical team, they had the most complete team. So they had so many options with Earl Monroe coming off the bench and Willis Reed, that there were so many things you could do, so many play styles, so many different positions you could switch. And by the end of the game, I was like, man, you could really put together a nice win streak with them. Their only fault is that they don't really have a go-to scorer. So, you know, like how the Rockets have James Harden or the Lakers have Magic and Kareem. This team, it's always a total team effort, which is how basketball is supposed to be played. But sometimes you need to have that guy that you can just give the ball to and go get 30 with, because sometimes the shots aren't falling. So if that wasn't happening with the Knicks, it could be a headache, but there's a lot of ways that you can attack somebody with this team. So if this is one of those teams that you just constantly scrolled over, I would give it a try and run some of their plays, because they're pretty good. So now we're in the top 4, and I'm going with the recent team here in the 94 Rockets. I love this squad because their game plan is really perfect. So you've got the big guy in Hakeem Olajuwon, who scares everybody in the post because you know he can be automatic there, but there's almost zero that the defense can do about it because he's surrounded by 3-point shooters. So if you go back and watch that episode, you can see the guy kind of picked his poison. He wasn't going to let me dominate him with Hakeem, so that left Kenny Smith wide open. Robert Horry was knocking down threes, and I would say the only thing that would make this team better is if really they were the 95 version where they had Clyde Drexler, because if you had a superstar ball handler with Hakeem, I'm not sure what anybody would do to play defense on them. It's already hard as it is. I think that's one of the things that makes the all-time Rockets so hard to defend, because they got Hakeem, then you got Tracy McGrady and James Harden. So I think the all-time Rockets are kind of slept on. I don't see them pop up a lot, but I used them when the game first came out, and that's a squad. Number 3 goes to the 91 Warriors, and maybe I'm just nostalgic about using them in 2K13, but I used them a couple of more times after the recording because I said I had no clue why I hadn't played more with them, and it's just so much fun to rain 3-pointers on unsuspecting defenders because for some reason people don't know about the 91 Warriors. So hopefully I can find my Cleveland footage that I had here, and I ran this guy out of the building. He was leaving Chris Mullin open and Mitch Richmond on the wing, and this is a classic team. I think this is probably the most explosive classic team that I've played with so far, because they can really put points on the board like the modern day Warriors. I run that team with a Mike D'Antoni mindset because they're not that good at defense, but like Mike D'Antoni said, the best offense is a good defense. Or did he say that? I don't know if he actually said that. That sounds like something he would say, doesn't it? So yeah, I'm not really that worried about defense with that team. I'm just like, if you can keep up with my 3-point shooting, then good on you. But yeah, I'm trying to blow everybody out with that squad. Number 2 is actually a team that I've played plenty of more games with since I posted the original video, and that's the 86 Celtics. I love this team so much because people have no clue what to do with Larry Bird. The gameplay I'm gonna try to find was Who was I playing? I was playing somebody with Larry Bird the other day, and for some reason they were leaving me wide open and they thought I was gonna miss with Bird, and I don't know where that came from. Okay, it was the 11 Bulls, so I'm gonna have that footage in this video hopefully. And this guy was just testing me because I think I might have missed like 1 or 2 shots with Bird at the beginning of the game, so he thought he was gonna start double teaming my other players, and I busted this dude's ass. The thing with Larry is that I already told the story of how I was trying to use him in 2K13 and I gave up on it because his release was just broken. Well, they have completely fixed it. I would say he has like a top 3 easiest release in the game, and you really just got to combine that with the fact that he's also the most skilled player, or I don't want to say the most skilled player, but he's top 3 there too. I would say along with like Michael Jordan, you've got Dirk Nowitzki, and yeah, Larry Bird. As far as the moves that you can do with the shot stick, he's definitely a top 3 skilled player in that game. So when you combine that with his shot, you can do a whole bunch of fadeaways, and you can even get into the post, and you know, even if your defender does know how to play defense, there's just not a whole lot they can do with him. Now that's not to discount the rest of his team because everyone else is great there too. So you got Kevin McHale, you've got a couple of guys off the bench that can come and shoot. Robert Parrish is such a good defender. I've won games based off of his defense. Based on how I'm praising the squad right now, I honestly don't know how I had them written down at number 2, so I think this is more of a 1A and 1B situation between the Lakers, and the Showtime Lakers that is. To be honest, it's just fun with the Showtime Lakers because it's, you know, all of Magic Johnson's defenders, they're helpless, and I've played many games with them as well since the last time you guys saw the video that I did with them, which, who was I playing? I played a couple of teams. I made them both quit, so it didn't really matter, but people are just so helpless against Magic because even if they do what I recommend and don't let the undersized point guard him, he's just so versatile. There's so much he can do, and he's also deceptive as well because I think people test Magic Johnson just a little too much on that 3-point line. So yes, he wasn't the best shooter and he's not somebody you want to take contested shots with, but when people get tired of you coming into the paint and setting up people with flashy passes, they start hanging back off of him, and that's when you just start launching it from the 3-point line, and he can hit those. The other reason I think I gave this team number 1 is because it's really fun to throw flashy passes on the break with Magic because there's just so many options when this team starts running, and especially if you've got like Michael Cooper and Byron Scott on the floor. What I really like to do is I like to make it, I really try to sell it that I'm driving to the rim with Magic, and then there'll be Byron Scott leaking out to the right and there'll just be a wide open 3 just waiting there for you, and I purposely try to throw those flashy passes just to make the opponent mad. So this one is subject to change. For now they're gonna get my 1 spot, but the more I play with the Celtics and the Lakers, we'll see. Maybe I'll give an update on this one day. Anyways, that's how I ranked the first 10 teams that I used online so far, and it's been really fun, so I'm definitely going to do this when I get to team 20 for the next batch of teams, and that one's going to be really interesting because I've already played with all of them as I'm recording this video, and I already have in mind what I like and disliked, so make sure to be on the lookout for that. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed, and hit the bell next to my name if you want notifications on future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.